Your air conditioner has been running since breakfast. It is now the hottest part of the afternoon. The thermostat insists your house is 78 degrees. You set it to 70. It has been trying to reach that number for hours. Outside, the sun is doing exactly what it has done for thousands of years. It shines. But somewhere along the way, we began believing that the only answer to summer heat was a larger air conditioner, a stronger compressor, a higher electric bill, and another machine humming outside the window. Yet in one of the hottest and most humid countries in the developed world, millions of people lived comfortably for centuries before electricity ever reached their homes. Not because Japan has mild summers. Far from it. Tokyo regularly climbs above 90 degrees. Kyoto becomes heavy with humidity. In cities like Osaka, the heat lingers long after sunset. Long before air conditioning, Japanese builders faced exactly the same problem many homeowners struggle with today. How do you keep a house cool when the sun refuses to cooperate? They found an answer. Actually, several answers. Most of them cost almost nothing. One of them still costs about $5 today. Another costs nothing at all. None require replacing your air conditioner. None require tearing apart your roof. And once you understand how they work, you may begin looking at your own house very differently. Because the biggest source of heat inside most homes isn't the summer air, it's the house itself. Walk barefoot across a wooden floor in the early morning. It feels pleasantly cool. Return late in the afternoon after sunlight has been striking the roof for hours. The floor feels warmer. The walls feel warmer. Even the furniture seems to hold heat. Your house has quietly become a battery. It spends the day absorbing solar energy, then releases that heat back into every room long after the sun begins setting. Your air conditioner isn't only cooling the outdoor temperature, it's fighting the heat stored inside your own building. Traditional Japanese carpenters understood this long before thermometers and energy studies explained why. Instead of trapping heat, they encouraged it to leave. Instead of sealing every opening, they allowed the house to breathe. Many old Japanese homes appear surprisingly simple. Light wooden frames, sliding paper screens, raised wooden floors, wide roof overhangs, large openings connecting rooms to shaded gardens. To modern eyes, they almost seem unfinished. Yet every one of those features served a purpose. The house wasn't designed to resist nature. It was designed to cooperate with it. That philosophy appears throughout Japanese culture. Rather than overpowering natural forces, work alongside them. The same thinking shaped gardens, agriculture, water management, even architecture. One of the most remarkable examples hides beneath your feet. Traditional Japanese homes rarely sat directly on the ground. Instead, they rested on raised foundations, sometimes only a foot above the soil, sometimes slightly higher. At first glance, this seems intended simply to prevent moisture. That certainly helped, but another benefit proved just as valuable. Air moved freely beneath the floor. Throughout the day, cooler shaded air circulated underneath the house. Instead of allowing the floor to absorb heat directly from the earth or surrounding surfaces, moving air continuously carried warmth away. Even today, visitors entering preserved Japanese farmhouses often notice something surprising. The floors remain noticeably cooler than expected, not because they're air-conditioned, because they're ventilated. Now look upward. Perhaps the most important feature of all is the roof. Traditional Japanese roofs extend far beyond the walls, sometimes several feet. Those enormous overhangs weren't simply decorative, they created shade. Windows remained protected from direct sunlight. Rain stayed outside. Most importantly, the walls themselves absorbed far less heat. Modern homeowners often focus entirely on insulation. Japanese builders focused first on preventing sunlight from reaching the building in the first place. because once heat enters a house, removing it becomes far more difficult. Stopping it outside costs almost nothing. Removing it later requires electricity. That simple difference changes everything. Then there are the walls themselves. Unlike heavy masonry structures that store enormous amounts of heat, traditional Japanese homes relied primarily on wood. Wood responds differently. It warms quickly, but it also cools quickly once shaded and ventilated. Large interior spaces remained flexible thanks to sliding doors known as fusuma and lightweight paper screens called shoji. During cooler weather, rooms could be closed. During summer, entire sections of the house opened into one another. Air flowed naturally from one end of the building to the other. Nothing blocked the breeze. Imagine opening nearly every wall inside your home. Suddenly, the entire structure becomes one continuous path for moving air. That wasn't accidental. It was carefully planned. Japanese carpenters studied prevailing winds long before construction began. Homes often face directions, encouraging natural airflow during the hottest months. Instead of forcing air through narrow hallways, the building invited it inside. Modern engineering calls this cross-ventilation. Traditional builders simply called it good design. One 19th century Japanese proverb quietly captured the idea. Build your house for summer. Winter, they believed, could always be managed with clothing, blankets, and localized heating. Summer demanded thoughtful architecture. That philosophy shaped countless villages across the country. Yet perhaps the most fascinating cooling method involves something almost invisible: shade. Not the deep darkness created by heavy curtains. Living shade. Across Japan, homeowners planted vines outside windows. Morning glory, bitter melon, cucumber, beans. These climbing plants formed what became known as a green curtain. From inside, sunlight filtered gently through layers of living leaves. Outside, something remarkable happened. Instead of sunlight striking walls or windows directly, the plants absorbed much of that energy. At the same time, water evaporated naturally from every leaf. Scientists call the process transpiration. As moisture evaporates, heat leaves with it. The air immediately surrounding the plants becomes cooler. The wall behind them remains cooler. The window stays cooler. Even the breeze entering the house carries slightly lower temperatures. Unlike artificial shade cloth, the plants actively cool the surrounding air. Modern measurements have shown that surfaces protected by dense green curtains can remain dramatically cooler than nearby walls exposed to direct summer sun. All from seeds costing only a few dollars. Some Japanese cities actively encourage residents to grow these living curtains every summer. Schools participate. Office buildings join the effort. Apartment balconies overflow with climbing vines. Not because they reject modern technology, but because reducing heat before it enters the building makes every air conditioner work less, sometimes much less. Another forgotten Japanese solution appears each morning outside traditional shops and restaurants. Owners sprinkle water across stone walkways, wooden decks, garden paths. This practice is called uchi-mizu. At first glance, it appears to be simple cleaning. Many visitors assume workers are washing away dust. Sometimes they are, but cooling remains one of the oldest reasons. As the thin layer of water evaporates, it removes heat from the surrounding surface. Stone, concrete, wood, everything cools slightly. The air immediately above those surfaces cools as well. The effect doesn't last forever, but during the hottest hours of the day, even a modest reduction feels remarkably refreshing. The cost? Only a bucket of water. The principle remains identical to perspiration cooling your own skin. Nature has always preferred evaporation over machinery. Modern science merely confirmed what generations already observed. Yet perhaps the most remarkable Japanese cooling trick costs even less. It requires no construction, no electricity, no plants, no special tools. Only one inexpensive household item, a bamboo screen known as a sudare. For centuries, families hung these woven bamboo screens outside windows, porches, and verandas during summer. Notice one important detail. Outside, not inside. Most modern blinds hang indoors. By the time sunlight reaches them, it has already passed through the glass. Much of its heat has already entered the room. A bamboo screen blocks sunlight before it ever touches the window. That small difference changes the entire equation. The screen creates shade. Air continues moving freely. Sunlight remains outside where it belongs. Even today, quality bamboo screens often cost less than a family dinner. Sometimes less than $10. Simple, reusable, completely silent. Perhaps not as dramatic as installing a new air conditioner, but remarkably effective. Modern architects now recognize this principle as exterior solar shading. Japanese families practiced it hundreds of years before the term existed. Again, the lesson repeats itself. Prevent heat first, cool later. Many modern houses reverse the order, and homeowners pay the difference every month on their electric bill. In Part 2, we'll uncover the remarkable $5 Japanese cooling trick that inspired the title of this video, explain why millions of households still use it every summer, reveal the surprising science behind wind chimes, bamboo blinds, and evaporative cooling, and discover why many Japanese homes feel noticeably cooler without lowering the thermostat at all. Before we continue, I'd love to hear from you. What's the hottest room in your house during summer, the upstairs bedroom, the living room, the attic, or somewhere else? Let me know in the comments. I read every one, and I'd love to see which part of the house gives people the most trouble. The most effective cooling system in a traditional Japanese home doesn't hum. It doesn't have a compressor. It doesn't need refrigerant, and it certainly doesn't need thousands of dollars worth of equipment bolted to the side of the house. Instead, it begins with understanding something surprisingly simple. Air only feels cool when it moves. Think about standing outside on a summer afternoon. The temperature might be 90 degrees. The moment a gentle breeze begins, the heat suddenly feels more bearable. The air itself hasn't changed very much. Your body has. Moving air carries heat away from your skin faster than still air. It also helps sweat evaporate more quickly. That evaporation is nature's own air conditioner. Japanese builders understood this centuries ago. Rather than trying to make every room colder, they focused on making every room breathe. One technique became so common that almost every traditional house included it. Openings placed directly opposite one another. When one window opened on the shaded side of the house, another opened on the sunny side. The difference in air pressure naturally pulled fresh air across the rooms. Today, engineers call this cross-ventilation. Japanese carpenters simply knew that houses should always have a path for the wind. Even narrow alleyways in old Kyoto neighborhoods often align with prevailing summer breezes. Entire communities were designed with airflow in mind. The house wasn't treated as an isolated box. It became part of the landscape itself. Trees created shade. Gardens cooled the air. Ponds added moisture. Every feature worked together. That idea still surprises many homeowners today. Modern cooling often begins with the machine. Traditional Japanese cooling began with the environment. One of the oldest Japanese sayings about summer advises people to borrow the wind. Not create it, borrow it. That philosophy appears everywhere. Instead of blocking every opening, invite the breeze inside. Instead of trapping cool air, allow warm air to escape. Instead of fighting nature, guide it. Then comes perhaps the simplest trick of all, the one that inspired this video's title, a bamboo screen. Known throughout Japan as a sudare, Walk through older neighborhoods during summer and you'll still see them hanging outside countless homes. They aren't expensive. Many cost around $5. Some slightly more, some even less. They're woven from thin strips of bamboo connected by simple thread. Nothing about them appears revolutionary, yet their placement changes everything. Notice they hang outside the window, not inside. This matters far more than most people realize. Imagine sunlight striking your window. If you close an indoor blind, the sunlight has already passed through the glass. The heat has already entered the room. The blind becomes hot. Then it radiates that heat inward. Your air conditioner now has another warm surface to overcome. Move that same shade outside the glass, and the sunlight never reaches the window. The glass stays dramatically cooler. The room absorbs less heat. Your air conditioner works less. Scientists call this external solar shading. Japanese homeowners simply call it common sense. Modern energy studies consistently show that stopping solar heat before it enters a building is far more effective than trying to remove it afterward. The principle sounds obvious once someone explains it. Yet many modern houses still rely almost entirely on indoor blinds. The bamboo screen solves another problem too. Unlike heavy curtains, it doesn't block airflow. The breeze still moves freely through the woven gaps. Shade without sacrificing ventilation. Protection without isolation. Again, the solution works alongside nature instead of replacing it. Another forgotten Japanese tradition appears almost magical to first-time visitors: wind chimes. Tiny glass bells called furin hang beneath roof eaves every summer. Most people assume they're simply decorative. Ornaments making pleasant sounds in the breeze. That's only part of the story. Psychologists studying thermal comfort have discovered something fascinating. Human comfort depends on more than temperature alone. Sound influences perception. When people hear gentle water, leaves moving, or delicate wind chimes, many report feeling cooler even when the thermometer hasn't changed. The brain associates those sounds with moving air, shade, freshness, nature. Japanese culture recognized this relationship centuries before modern psychology described it. The sound doesn't lower the temperature, but it often changes how people experience the heat. Comfort, after all, isn't measured only in degrees. Sometimes the mind cools before the body does. Water also plays an important role. Earlier we talked about uchimizu, the practice of sprinkling water across streets, gardens, and entrances. Many visitors see someone pouring buckets of water onto stone paths during the afternoon. At first it seems wasteful. Why pour water onto the ground only to watch it disappear? Because it isn't disappearing. It's changing form. As water evaporates, it absorbs heat from everything around it. That's basic physics. The same process cools your skin after swimming, or dries laundry hanging outdoors. The remarkable part is how efficiently evaporation removes heat. 1 gallon of water carries away an astonishing amount of thermal energy as it changes into vapor. Traditional Japanese shopkeepers understood this without complicated equations. They simply observed the results: cooler walkways, cooler entrances, cooler air drifting inside. Today, many cities continue encouraging residents to practice uchimizu during periods of extreme heat. Entire neighborhoods participate together. It's inexpensive, quiet, and remarkably effective when combined with shade. Then there is another Japanese tradition many people have forgotten: living with the seasons instead of pretending they don't exist. Modern climate control encourages maintaining exactly the same indoor temperature every day of the year. 70 degrees in January, 70 degrees in July. Traditional Japanese life accepted seasonal change. Summer clothing became lighter. Meals changed. Sleeping arrangements changed. Daily routines changed. Even the rooms people occupied changed throughout the day. families naturally gathered in the coolest parts of the house during afternoon heat. Cooking often happened early in the morning or later in the evening. Windows remained carefully managed, according to wind direction, rather than simply left open or closed. It wasn't inconvenience, it was adaptation. Modern researchers studying passive cooling repeatedly find that human comfort improves dramatically when buildings respond to changing outdoor conditions rather than fighting them continuously. Japan mastered this long before computers began modeling airflow. Another overlooked feature sits directly beneath traditional Japanese roofs: ventilated roof spaces. Hot air naturally rises. Instead of trapping that heat beneath the roof structure, traditional construction encouraged it to escape. Wide eaves, open ridge details, natural air movement. Everything worked together to reduce heat accumulation above living spaces. Today, many homeowners focus almost entirely on wall insulation, yet the roof often receives the strongest sunlight throughout the day. Reducing heat there first produces enormous benefits below. Again, prevent the heat before removing it. The philosophy never changes. Modern architects increasingly return to these ideas, not because they're nostalgic, because they work. Around the world, passive cooling has become one of the fastest-growing areas of sustainable building design. Cross-ventilation, external shading, green walls, reflective roofs, natural airflow. Many of these techniques closely resemble practices Japanese builders refined generations ago. Sometimes, progress means rediscovering forgotten wisdom. Perhaps the most remarkable lesson isn't any single technique. It's how they combine. No single Japanese cooling trick lowers indoor temperatures dramatically by itself. Neither does one tree, one bamboo screen, or one open window. But together, each small improvement reduces the workload placed on the next. Shade lowers wall temperatures. Ventilation removes trapped heat. Plants cool incoming air. Water cools surrounding surfaces. Moving air improves personal comfort. Suddenly, the air conditioner doesn't have to perform miracles. It only provides the final adjustment. Instead of fighting against the entire house, it simply maintains comfort. That difference often translates directly into lower electricity bills, longer equipment life, and quieter homes. Many people assume traditional solutions disappear once modern technology arrives. Japan chose a different path. Walk through neighborhoods in Tokyo today. You'll see high-efficiency air conditioners mounted beside homes. But you'll also notice bamboo blinds, green curtains climbing apartment balconies, deep roof overhangs, sliding windows positioned for airflow. Modern technology didn't completely replace traditional knowledge. It joined it. Perhaps that's the most important lesson of all. The smartest solution isn't choosing between ancient wisdom and modern engineering. It's allowing each to do what it does best. An air conditioner excels at lowering temperature, but it shouldn't spend every summer battling sunlight that could have been stopped outside. It shouldn't struggle against walls storing unnecessary heat. It shouldn't compensate for a house that never learned how to breathe. In Part 3, we'll bring everything together by exploring how modern architects are rediscovering these centuries-old Japanese cooling principles, reveal the biggest mistake homeowners make before buying a larger air conditioner, and explain why the cheapest improvements often deliver the greatest long-term comfort. Before we continue, I'd love to hear from you. If you could try just one Japanese cooling method tomorrow, which would it be? The $5 bamboo screen, a green curtain of climbing plants, cross ventilation, or sprinkling water outside your home? Tell me in the comments. I'm curious which idea you'd try first and why. The remarkable thing about traditional Japanese cooling isn't that it rejects modern technology. It doesn't. Japan is one of the world's most technologically advanced countries. Its homes use high-efficiency air conditioners, smart thermostats, and modern insulation. Yet many families still hang bamboo screens outside their windows every summer. They still grow green curtains of climbing plants. They still open their homes strategically to capture the evening breeze. Why? Because they understand something many homeowners have forgotten. The cheapest energy is the energy you never have to use. Every degree of heat stopped outside the house is one less degree your air conditioner has to remove. Every shaded window, every moving breeze, and every cooling plant quietly reduces the workload on the most expensive appliance in your home. That doesn't just lower your electric bill. It extends the life of your air conditioner, reduces maintenance costs, and creates a home that feels naturally comfortable instead of mechanically cold. Perhaps the biggest lesson isn't about bamboo screens or climbing vines. It's about changing the question. Instead of asking, "How can I buy a bigger air conditioner?" ask, "Why is my house getting so hot in the first place?" Often, the answer costs far less than replacing expensive equipment. Sometimes it's better shading. Sometimes it's better airflow. Sometimes it's simply working with nature instead of constantly fighting it. For centuries, Japanese builders proved that comfort isn't created by overpowering the environment. It's created by understanding it. That wisdom is just as valuable today as it was hundreds of years ago. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Which Japanese cooling idea surprised you the most? And do you think you'll try it before spending thousands on a new air conditioner? Let me know in the comments below. I read every comment, and I'd love to hear about your experience if you decide to test any of these ideas. And if you enjoy discovering forgotten techniques that can save money, improve your home, and make everyday life easier, don't forget to subscribe. There are many more timeless ideas hidden in traditional cultures around the world, and we'll uncover them together.